There's a moment, barely a second long, when two people meet that carries more truth than entire conversations. A moment so ordinary that most of us overlook it, yet so revealing that it exposes what the heart hasn't dared to speak. And if you've ever wondered what a man truly feels for you, look at how he greets you. Not at what he says, but at what escapes him before he can hide it. Most people think a greeting is just social routine. A quick hi, a polite nod, a handshake, a hug. But when you step back and observe it through the lens of Carl Jung's psychology, something astonishing appears. Jung once said that when two personalities meet, it's like mixing two chemical substances. If there's any reaction, both are transformed. And that is exactly what happens in the first few seconds when a man who is secretly fascinated by you sees you. In that instant, his unconscious speaks before his mind catches up. His posture shifts. His eyes flicker with something soft but intense. His energy loses neutrality. Even if he tries to greet you casually, the truth leaks out in his micro-reactions. The kind he can't choreograph. The kind he doesn't even realize he's revealing. Because attraction rarely enters through words. It enters through instinct, through the body, through the unguarded parts of him that break through the surface the moment you appear. Jung said that until we make the unconscious conscious, it will direct our lives and we'll call it fate. And in the world of attraction, this is profoundly true. His body reveals his fate long before he understands it. You might think, is it really possible for a greeting to expose his emotions? Absolutely. A greeting is the one moment where he hasn't had time to prepare, overthink, or perform. It's raw. It's spontaneous. It's honest. His unconscious takes the wheel and shows you everything. His curiosity, his desire, his nervousness, his admiration. When a man is attracted to you, even the smallest gestures become windows into his inner world. Maybe his voice changes, just slightly, but enough for you to feel the warmth in it. Maybe he straightens up when he sees you, like his body wants to present its best version without him even noticing. Maybe his expression softens, his breath catches, or his smile appears too quickly to be controlled. These tiny moments are not accidents, they are confessions. This video, this transformation of the everyday moment, is an invitation for you to see the invisible. To understand that the truth of a man's feelings often hides not in his words, but in the fragments of emotion his body reveals before he can hide them. A greeting may last only a second, but within it lives a story overflowing with meaning, intensity, and emotional transparency. Because when two people meet, their bodies speak before their mouths do. And when attraction is involved, that silent language becomes almost deafening to anyone who knows how to listen. A greeting that looks ordinary from the outside may actually be an emotional ritual from the inside. A spark where something shifts, where something awakens, where the unconscious steps forward and whispers a truth he didn't plan to confess. Jung believed that symbols are the language of the soul. In this sense, a greeting becomes a symbol too, a subtle but powerful sign that says, "You matter to me," without uttering a single word. Imagine this. He sees you unexpectedly, in a place he didn't mentally prepare for. In that moment, he has no shield. His reaction is pure, unfiltered, authentic. If his face lights up instantly, if his body leans closer, if he searches for an excuse, any excuse, to stay in your space, the truth is already out. Attraction doesn't hide well. The unconscious doesn't lie. A man who is fascinated by you greets you differently. Always. There is a warmth in his tone, a softness in his expression, a shift in his posture. His energy gravitates toward you as if drawn by something magnetic. He may not say a single romantic word, but every part of him speaks a language that only genuine interest can produce. And if this reaction repeats, if every time he sees you, the same spark, the same warmth, the same subtle nervousness appears, then it's no longer coincidence. It's emotional consistency. It's his unconscious revealing a pattern that even he might not fully understand yet. Because attraction isn't always grand, loud, or dramatic. Sometimes it shows itself in fleeting gestures. The slight brush of his hand, the extra second he holds your gaze, the small smile he can't suppress, the way he leans just a little too close when saying hello. These details are delicate, but they're also deeply meaningful. Jung reminded us that what we don't express doesn't disappear. It simply finds another way to reveal itself. And often, those revelations are hidden in the quietest moments. A greeting becomes the doorway where everything unsaid finally escapes. So the next time he greets you, watch closely, not with suspicion, but with awareness. Notice his eyes, his posture, the warmth or tension in his voice. Notice how long he keeps his hand on yours, or how reluctant he seems to step away. Notice whether his smile appears faster than he intended, because within those tiny gestures may lie the beginning of a story neither of you has fully acknowledged yet. And perhaps the most beautiful thing is this: in a world overflowing with noise, confusion, and emotional hesitation, the truth still reveals itself, not through grand declarations, but through the smallest, quietest moments. Moments that say everything without saying a word. There is a particular type of attention a man gives only to a woman who stirs something inside him, something he can't control, something he may not even fully understand. You can see this clearly in the way his eyes search for small details the moment he greets you. And among these details, one stands out more than the rest: your hair. It may sound trivial at first glance. Hair seems like such a superficial thing to notice. But if you look deeper, through the symbolic, psychological lens Jung often emphasized, you'll realize this is one of the strongest unconscious indicators of emotional intrigue. Hair, throughout history, has represented identity, sensuality, freedom, femininity, transformation. When a man pays attention to it, especially during the very first second of a greeting, he is revealing something far beyond simple observation. He is revealing that he sees you, not the socially polished version of you, not the surface-level presence people usually skim over, but the subtle, intimate details that only matter when someone is emotionally invested. Men do not notice minor changes in appearance unless their unconscious mind has already registered you as someone meaningful. The brain filters out anything irrelevant. So if he greets you and instantly comments on or fixates on your hair, whether you change the color, the style, the texture, or even if it's simply catching the light differently, his attention is not random. It's emotional. It means you occupy space in his perception in a way others do not. He might say something simple like, "Did you do something different?" Or, "Your hair looks really good today." Or, he says nothing at all. But you catch that fleeting look, that slow sweep of his eyes, that softening of his expression. These are not casual gestures. These are unconscious expressions of admiration. And what makes this even more compelling is how his body responds while he's noticing you. Maybe he leans closer without realizing it. Maybe his smile appears a little too naturally. Maybe he touches his own hair awkwardly, as if mirroring you in a way he doesn't understand. This kind of spontaneous micro-mirroring is one of the strongest signs of attraction in body language. It means his energy is synchronizing with yours. It means he is trying, without trying, to connect. Complimenting your hair is often his safe doorway into expressing something deeper without exposing himself completely. It's his way of telling you he likes how you present yourself, how you change, how you express your femininity. It's admiration disguised as observation. But the real truth isn't in the compliment itself. It's in the way he gives it. Does his voice soften? Does he hold the moment a little too long? Does he glance away shyly after saying it, as if he showed too much? Does he seem eager for your reaction, even if he hides it? When a man is genuinely attracted, that one small comment becomes emotionally layered. It's not about hair at all. It's about intimacy, connection, and the desire to be noticed back. And if he brings up your appearance again later, in another conversation, in another context, or days after, then his attention wasn't momentary. It means he filed the image of you in his memory. It means he replayed it. It means something about you lingered in him. Men rarely revisit details unless the emotion behind them is real. And if he notices changes only in you, not in others, then the difference becomes undeniable. His unconscious has already chosen you as someone significant, someone whose presence impacts him on a deeper level. Jung said that nothing has a stronger psychological effect on another person than the unlived life within you, the things you don't express but feel intensely. When this man greets you and his eyes go to your hair, that's where the unlived feeling begins to surface. It's his unconscious stepping forward to say, "You're not just another face in the room." Then there is the second sign, the one that's even more revealing. When he sees you, his entire face lights up. Not the polite, socially trained smile, but the involuntary, genuine one. The kind that appears the very instant your presence registers in his mind. It's paired with a small, sudden lift of the eyebrows, a micro gesture so fast that only people who are paying attention notice it. But this micro expression is one of the purest, most honest signs of fascination a man can reveal. This type of smile, what psychologists call a Duchenne smile, is impossible to fake. The eyes soften, the muscles around them crinkle, the mouth curves naturally. It's a burst of emotion that erupts before logic has a chance to interfere. And that tiny eyebrow raise? That's the unconscious saying, "You surprised me. You excite me. I'm happy to see you." This moment doesn't require words. His body already spoke. And if this happens every time he sees you, if that spark of warmth, that involuntary expression of joy, appears again and again, it's no longer a coincidence. It's his emotional system reacting to you automatically. A man who has no feelings for you won't have this reaction. His greeting will be neutral, polite, predictable. But a man who feels something, even if he hides it consciously, will always reveal himself in that first second. That smile is his heart showing up before his mind can stop it. And what's even more powerful is what happens afterward. If he lingers a little longer than necessary, if he stumbles over his words, if he laughs without reason or becomes slightly awkward, you're not imagining it. His emotions are influencing his behavior. He is not performing. He is affected. You have shifted something inside him. Next time you see this, don't dismiss it. Don't tell yourself it's nothing. Jung taught that what the unconscious tries to express is often more truthful than what we consciously admit. And sometimes a greeting isn't just a greeting. It's the beginning of a confession. There is a moment in human connection where words lose their importance and the body becomes the storyteller. A moment that does not rely on intention but on instinct. And when a man feels something real, something stirring, something magnetic, his body will try to close the distance between you long before he finds the courage to speak. That moment often appears in the smallest gestures of physical contact, not the obvious ones, not the bold ones, but the subtle, meaningful ones. The ones so gentle, they can be mistaken for coincidence, yet so intentional. They reveal his heart more honestly than anything he could say. When he greets you and finds a reason to touch your arm lightly, or his fingers graze yours a second longer than necessary, or he pulls you into a hug that feels warmer, slower, more present, he is communicating in the oldest language humans know: touch. Psychologically, touch is one of the most intimate forms of expression. It bypasses logic and travels straight into the emotional nervous system. It says, "I want to be closer to you," without ever needing to form the words. And Jung believed that the things we struggle to express with language leak out through symbols, instincts, and behaviors. Physical contact, then, becomes a symbol of unspoken desire. It's not always about passion or seduction. Often, it's about closeness, about reducing the emotional distance he feels, closing the psychological gap that exists between two people who are not yet lovers, but not quite strangers anymore. Touch becomes a bridge between what he feels internally and what he dares to show externally. Maybe he places a hand on your back while greeting you. Maybe he squeezes your shoulder gently when he says hello. Maybe his hand lingers for a heartbeat longer when you hug. Maybe he steps closer, not enough to make it obvious, but enough for you to feel the heat between you. These gestures are not random. They are the unconscious reaching out for connection, and the way he reacts afterward reveals even more. If he smiles softly, if his shoulders relax, if his voice grows warmer, his body is telling you that touching you feels natural, that it brings him comfort, that he is more himself around you. Because attraction doesn't always create tension. In many cases, it creates relief, as though something inside him settles when he's close to you. But there is another layer to all of this: contrast. Contrast is everything. Ask yourself, does he greet everyone this way? Or is this softness, this warmth, this subtle physicality reserved only for you? If you notice that his touches, however light, are exclusive to you, then you're witnessing emotional specificity. It means his body behaves differently around you because his feelings are different around you. He may not know how to say it. He may not even be consciously aware of how obvious he's being, but his body has already made its choice. And then there are the moments when physical contact is not planned, but instinctive, when he sees you unexpectedly, and the first thing he does is lean in for a hug, or reach out to touch your arm, or brush something off your shoulder that wasn't even really there. These spontaneous gestures reveal the truth with startling clarity. His unconscious is pulling him toward you. Jung believed that loneliness doesn't come from being alone, but from not being able to express the things that matter most. So when a man uses touch during a greeting, he is often expressing what he cannot say openly. He is communicating care, admiration, desire, tenderness, all wrapped in a gesture that might look innocent but is rich with emotional meaning. But this is only one part of the story. Because when you combine all three signs, the way he notices details about you, the immediate and genuine smile that appears when he sees you, and the subtle physical contact initiated during his greeting, you begin to see a pattern. A constellation of unconscious signals pointing to a truth he may not have even admitted to himself yet. Each sign alone can be dismissed as coincidence, but together they form a narrative of desire, a narrative of emotional pull, a narrative that says silently but unmistakably, "You affect me. You matter to me." These small gestures are not accidents. They are the cracks through which his real feelings escape, because unexpressed emotions don't disappear. They find a way out. They seep through body language, through tone, through posture, through touch. And if you observe carefully, you'll notice something even more powerful. He may be holding himself back. You might feel the tension in the way he greets you, the slight hesitation, the nervous laugh, the tiny moment where he seems unsure of what to do with his hands. This emotional friction is not a sign of disinterest. It's a sign that what he feels is strong enough to make him self-conscious. You see, a man who feels nothing behaves effortlessly. A man who feels everything stumbles a little, because emotion destabilizes him. Attraction shakes his composure. When he sees you, his unconscious rushes forward, leaning closer, smiling brighter, touching gently. But then his conscious mind tries to pull back, regulate, regain control. This creates the most beautiful kind of emotional contradiction: desire, wrapped in restraint. And that contradiction is where the truth lies. A greeting becomes the battlefield between what he feels and what he fears, between instinct and self-protection, between the unconscious desire to move closer and the conscious fear of revealing too much. But here's the remarkable thing: the unconscious always wins. Even when he tries to stay neutral, his eyes betray him. His smile exposes him. His body leans toward you without permission. His hand reaches out before he can stop it. Because when he greets you, something inside him wakes up. Something human, something tender, something real. And if you learn to read these signs, not with suspicion but with presence, you will see the truth long before he dares to speak it. There's a moment, quiet but undeniable, when you realize that what you thought was a simple greeting has become something else entirely. Something charged, something alive, something that feels less like routine and more like revelation. Because when a man is drawn to you on a level he hasn't yet dared to articulate, his greeting becomes the place where his truth escapes him. And this truth doesn't always show itself in grand gestures. Often, it reveals itself in the moments he tries hardest to control. The slight tremor in his voice when he says your name, the way he takes a breath before speaking, as if steadying something inside himself, the tension in his hands when he wants to touch you but holds back. These micro moments are the fingerprints of emotion, the traces of a feeling he hasn't named but cannot avoid. What's most fascinating is how a man's entire body participates in this silent confession. His posture shifts, not dramatically, but with meaning. There's a subtle openness, a turning toward you, a soft alignment of his shoulders in your direction. These physical signals are older than language itself, rooted in instincts that predate civilization. And the unconscious, as Jung emphasized, speaks most clearly through these instinctive movements. Even the way he looks at you during a greeting carries clues. Attraction alters the eyes. They linger too long or dart away too fast. They soften, widen, or brighten. Sometimes he looks at you with a quiet intensity, like he's trying to memorize you. Other times he avoids your gaze, not because he isn't interested, but because the truth burns too hot to meet your eyes directly. That avoidance is not disinterest, it's vulnerability. Pay attention also to the rhythm of his presence. A man who feels something for you gravitates toward you, even without realizing it. He appears in your proximity, stands close enough to sense your warmth, or enters your personal space under the guise of friendliness or convenience. He might lean closer when you speak, bend his head slightly to hear your voice better, or step nearer when greeting you, even when there's no practical reason to do so. These are the quiet betrayals of desire. And sometimes the most revealing sign is not what he does, but what he doesn't do. The hesitation in his hands when he wants to hug you longer, but releases too soon. The unfinished sentence he swallows halfway through. The way he looks like he's about to say something important and then decides against it. These incomplete gestures show you the internal conflict he carries, the part of him that longs to reveal himself, and the part that's afraid of what might change if he does. Jung wrote that every emotion, when suppressed, returns in disguised form. In the same way, a man's unspoken affection leaks through in unexpected ways. If he remembers small things you said weeks ago, if he greets you with a spark of joy, even on his worst days, if his tone softens when talking to you, these are emotional echoes of something deeper. Attraction that is quiet does not mean attraction that is weak. Sometimes the quietest feelings are the ones that weigh the most. And here is something many women overlook. The way a man ends a greeting can reveal just as much as how he begins it. Does he step away reluctantly? Does he look back at you when he thinks you're not paying attention? Does he pause for half a second longer before letting you go? That lingering presence is the emotional residue of his interest, the place where his unconscious refuses to leave, even when his body does. Notice the timing, too. If he greets others quickly, but greets you with intention, slower, warmer, more aware, then you've already touched something inside him. You've entered the part of his psyche where instinct overrides logic, where emotion pushes its way past his defenses. And if he greets you differently every time, sometimes confident, sometimes nervous, sometimes soft, it doesn't mean he's inconsistent. It means the feeling is evolving, growing, trying to find its place. Emotions are rarely orderly. They move in waves. They reveal themselves, retreat, and then return even stronger. The fluctuation is not confusion. It's transformation. A greeting, then, becomes the threshold where his unconscious meets his awareness. It's the space where his deepest emotions test the surface of his behavior. And no matter how much he tries to hide it, that moment betrays him. The truth leaks out through every gesture, every smile, every accidental touch, every flicker of his eyes. But here is where the story shifts, because your presence plays a role too. The way you respond to his greeting creates a mirror in which his emotions either grow or retreat. If you meet his warmth with coldness, he learns to silence what he feels. If you meet his softness with distance, he buries his instinct deeper. But if you meet his greeting with your own authenticity, with a gentle smile, a steady gaze, a welcoming energy, you open a door inside him he didn't expect. And this is where your power lies. You can turn an ordinary greeting into an emotional imprint he carries long after you've gone. You can make him feel seen, appreciated, understood, without uttering a single phrase. Your presence, your energy, your subtle kindness can become the safe place where his unspoken feelings begin to surface. Because the truth is this: a man's greeting is rarely just a greeting. It's a small emotional story, a moment where the unconscious whispers what the heart is too cautious to say. And if you look closely enough, you will see the truth he's been trying, consciously or not, to give you. The next time he greets you, don't rush past it. Don't assume it's trivial. Instead, witness it as the intimate exchange it truly is. Feel the energy behind his smile. Sense the truth behind his touch. Listen to the silence between his words. Because in that brief, fragile moment, you may find the beginning of a story he hasn't yet dared to write. A story that starts not with a confession, not with a declaration, but simply with the way he says hello.